You are not born by chance. The month you emerged into this world was not an accident of biology or mere circumstance. It was a sacred moment, a precise alignment between the cosmos and your inner being. The very breath of the universe moved through time to ensure your arrival in that particular season, in that exact hour. The meaning of your birth month is not trivial. It is a cipher, a hidden key to your own transformation. Every soul descends into time with a purpose encrypted in silence, and that silence is not empty. It is filled with symbols. Your birth month is one such symbol, rich in archetypal significance, vibrating with a frequency only your spirit can interpret. The ancients knew this. They aligned their lives with seasons, constellations, and sacred timings. They understood that time was more than a measurement. It was a message. You too were born into a message. You must learn to read it. Each month carries a specific energy, one that mirrors the phases of the human psyche. Some are born into the fire of beginnings, where desire awakens and the ego is forged. Others come into the world in the stillness of winter, where depth, introspection, and shadow reside. To know the month of your birth is to discover the dominant archetype you are meant to embody. It is not your destiny written in stone, but it is your original map. And if you have wandered from yourself, this map will bring you back. The unconscious remembers what the mind forgets. Your dreams, your fears, your longings, they all whisper the truths encoded at your birth. The truth is, you have always known who you are. You only needed a mirror. The month of your birth can be that mirror. It reflects not only your traits, but your trials. It reveals what you must heal, what you must carry, and what you were born to release. In that reflection, you will see not just who you are, but who you could become. You do not live in isolation. You live within a greater pattern, one that breathes through trees, tides, and time. You were born when you were born because the world needed you then. Your presence was summoned, and now you must respond to that call, not with confusion or resistance, but with reverence. The meaning of your month is not to constrain you. It is to awaken you. It is to help you remember what your soul already knows. You were made with intention. When you begin to meditate on the energy of your birth month, you begin to re-enter the dialogue with the divine. You begin to notice synchronicities, to feel the alignment between inner and outer worlds. Life becomes less about control and more about communion. You start to live from your essence rather than your expectation, and as you do, the months no longer pass you by. They reveal you to yourself. There is a fire in you, a light behind the eyes that was placed there long before you were born. And though the world may have tried to bury it with doubt, conformity, and distraction, it remains, it waits. The deeper you journey into the meaning of your birth, the more clearly it burns. Let this be the moment you no longer treat your existence as random. Let this be the hour you realize. The time you were born into is sacred. And so are you. The meaning of the month you were born in will not define you, but it will remind you. It will remind you that your life is not a mistake, that there is a deeper rhythm guiding you, and that every step you take toward that truth is a step out of fear and into freedom. The stars remember your name, the earth remembers your arrival. Now it is your turn to remember who you are. Your birth month carries archetypal energy that reflects your soul's original imprint and life path. This is not a poetic coincidence, nor a superstition to be casually dismissed. It is a profound psychological and spiritual truth, hidden beneath layers of distraction, disconnection, and collective forgetting. The moment of your arrival into the world is not random. It is an intersection between the inner cosmos of your soul and the outer cosmos of the universe. The very rhythm of your entrance holds symbolic truths, revealing aspects of who you are, what you are here to face, and what you are destined to bring forth into the world. Archetypes are not inventions of the mind. They are eternal patterns, ancient energies that shape the structure of human experience. They are the blueprints behind our myths, dreams, fears, longings, and transformations. When you are born in a specific month, you do not just inherit physical genetics from your parents, you inherit spiritual and psychological resonance from the collective unconscious. The energy of your birth month is saturated with certain archetypes that were active in nature, in culture, and in the invisible spiritual field when you took your first breath. That energy lives within you still. You carry it like a signature in your unconscious, a divine fingerprint that can neither be erased nor denied. These archetypal energies do not merely decorate your personality, they inform your destiny. The soul chooses the time of its entrance with precision, aligning itself with the forces that will awaken its path. A person born in the light of spring carries the energy of renewal and emergence. Life begins to stir again from the deep sleep of winter. These souls may have a natural tendency to initiate change, to embody beginnings, to bring fresh life into stagnant places. Their path might require them to act as catalysts in their environments, pushing others toward growth and truth. They will often face resistance, not because they are wrong, but because they disturb the comfortable sleep of what no longer serves. One born in the heat of summer may carry a different essence altogether. In this time, the world is in full bloom. The fruits of spring's labor are visible, radiant, and alive. These individuals may naturally express the archetype of the nurturer, the creator, the leader. They often radiate warmth, intensity, and visibility. Their journey may involve discovering how to shine without burning out, how to lead without dominating, how to create without attachment. The soul chooses the summer not just to enjoy light, but to become a channel for that light, to be a mirror through which the world sees its own potential. Those born in autumn are summoned into a season of release, transition, and reflection. Trees shed their leaves, preparing for the stillness of winter. These individuals are often old souls, carrying wisdom from previous cycles. They may be drawn toward depth, introspection, and truth that lies beneath the surface. Their archetypal energy reflects the need to let go, to understand impermanence, to guide others through the mystery of change. They are often teachers in disguise, those who do not merely offer answers, but who awaken questions in others. Their life path may be marked by many endings, but each ending is a portal into deeper becoming. Winter births mark a different kind of soul agreement. To arrive in the cold and darkness of the year is not a punishment. It is a sacred initiation. These individuals are often born into silence, into depth, into the archetype of the mystic, the sage, or the survivor. They may feel alone not because they are unloved, but because they are being prepared to hear the voices others cannot hear, to see what others overlook. Their life path is not external achievement alone, it is internal mastery. They may struggle against loneliness, but that very struggle leads them to spiritual clarity. They are not here to follow the noise of the world, they are here to illuminate the stillness at its center. These energies are not fixed roles or restrictions. They are not boxes in which to confine yourself, but mirrors through which you may see more clearly. The archetypal energy of your birth month is not a sentence. It is an invitation. It invites you to discover yourself beyond the surface. It reminds you that who you are was written in more than flesh and bone. You were composed of symbols before you ever had a name. And when you begin to attune yourself to those symbols, when you listen to the deeper language of your birth, you begin to walk in alignment with your essence. The modern world teaches us to forget this. It separates us from cycles, from nature, from ritual. It tells us that time is linear, that birth is medical, that meaning is optional, but the soul knows better. The soul remembers the moment it entered this plane. It remembers the conditions, the energy, the divine orchestration. It remembers what it came here to become, and when you begin to explore the deeper meaning of your birth month, not through horoscopes or surface labels, but through true reflection, you begin to awaken that memory. You begin to live from your original self rather than from your conditioned self. Each birth month carries a spiritual theme, a psychological landscape that speaks to your soul's intention. It tells you what kind of energy will be most accessible to you, and what kind of trials will forge your character. Some months challenge the ego to break so that the soul can rise. Others strengthen the heart so that love may be poured into a world desperate for healing. Some test your patience so that you learn stillness. Others ignite your fire so that you never forget your power. The archetype is not always easy, but it is always true. It is the part of you that cannot be explained, but can be felt in every moment of authenticity. The path towards self-realization requires a return to origin, and your origin is not simply where you were born, but when. When you entered this world, you did so carrying the spiritual imprint of a season, of a month, of a sacred cycle. That timing matters. It shapes the way your soul breathes, the way your psyche unfolds, the way your destiny calls. The more you align with the deeper meaning of your birth month, the more you align with your divine essence. And as you align, you awaken, you step into a rhythm that was always meant for you. To live without awareness of this truth is to wander. To live with awareness is to walk with purpose. The archetypal energy of your birth month is like a lamp in the cave of your unconscious. It does not control you, it guides you, and the more you trust its light, the less you will be led by fear. You begin to see your struggles not as accidents, but as sacred tests. You begin to feel your desires not as distractions, but as divine compass points. You realize that nothing in your life is random, not even your birthday, especially not your birthday. In the end, you were born not just into time, but into meaning. The archetype of your birth month is not external to you, it is you. It lives in the way you think, the way you dream, the way you suffer, and the way you rise. It is your myth, your medicine, your map. And when you begin to explore it, you do not just understand yourself more deeply. You participate in the mystery of life more fully. You realize that your presence on this earth is not just a fact, it is a phenomenon. One that began with a whisper from the stars and a soul who chose to arrive when the world was most ready for you. Time is not a straight road stretching endlessly into the unknown. It is not a sequence of numbers or a mechanical progression of hours and dates. Time, in its deepest truth, is cyclical. A great spiral turning inward and outward at once, carrying within it the breath of the universe, the pulse of the divine, and the rhythm of the soul. We have been conditioned to believe in clocks, calendars, deadlines, and straight lines, but our deeper self, our archetypal self, knows better. It remembers a truth older than history, one buried beneath the noise of modernity. That truth is this: time moves in circles. Time repeats, not to imprison us, but to awaken us. And the moment of your births, specifically the month in which you entered this world, was not a random point on a linear timeline. It was an alignment, a placement, a rhythm that chose you and into which you were woven. Your birth month is not just a date on a certificate. It is a living echo of the cosmos in motion. The universe was in a particular state when you arrived. The earth leaned a certain way toward the sun. The air carried the energy of a specific season, a specific vibration. The animals, the trees, the waters, they all responded to the same cycle you were born into. You emerged into a cosmic rhythm already underway, and that rhythm didn't just surround you, it entered you. It shaped your inner world with the same intelligence that turns winter into spring and dusk into dawn. You are not separate from time, you are an expression of it. And once you begin to recognize time as cyclical, you begin to recognize your birth as part of a sacred pattern. To live in alignment with cyclical time is to understand that each month, each season, each return of the sun or moon carries its own essence. These are not superficial weather patterns. They are psychological energies, archetypal states of being. There is a time for planting and a time for harvesting, a time for rising and a time for retreat, a time to build and a time to let go. Each of these moments contains a kind of sacred intelligence, and each of them is represented in the 12 months of the year. Your birth month, then, reveals not only when you arrived, but how you were meant to move through the world. It places you in a unique spiritual and psychological rhythm, a pulse that beats in harmony with a deeper, more ancient tempo. For instance, consider those born in the early months of the year. These souls emerge when the world is still wrapped in winter's stillness. On the surface, all is quiet, but beneath that quiet, the earth is preparing. Seeds lie in waiting, roots deepen. The stillness is not emptiness, it is gestation. People born in these months may carry within them this same silent strength. They may not rush to action, but their inner world is rich, deep, and full of potential. They are often old souls, contemplative by nature, drawn to the inner life and slow awakenings. Their rhythm is one of patience, of deep listening, of enduring through the cold with faith in what lies beneath the surface. Now consider those born into springtime. The world begins to wake, buds break through frozen ground, color returns to the earth, and life begins anew. There is an urgency in the air, a call to begin, to emerge, to risk. Those born into this season are often filled with a pioneering spirit. They may possess a natural ability to start things, to lead, to push through resistance with the force of life itself. Their rhythm is one of initiation, of birth, of courageous movement. They reflect the archetype of the warrior, the dreamer, the child who runs toward the unknown not with fear, but with wonder. The world itself was beginning again when they were born, and so too do they bring beginnings wherever they go. As the months roll forward and the cycle turns to summer, we meet a different energy. The sun reaches its peak, nature is in full bloom, and the world pulses with vitality. These are the months of fullness, of celebration, of visibility. Those born into this time are often radiant by nature. They may possess a magnetic presence, an inner warmth, a desire to express, create, and share. They carry the rhythm of the sun, bold life, giving and vibrant. But even this energy is not without its lessons, for the sun, in its glory, must eventually begin to decline, and so these individuals may be tasked with learning the balance between shining and burning out, between offering and overextending. Their rhythm teaches the dance of giving and receiving, of joy and discernment, of radiance and rest. Then comes the late summer and the fall, the time of harvest, reflection, and letting go. The leaves begin to change, the days grow shorter, and the world begins to prepare for rest. Those born during these months often embody the energy of wisdom. They may be naturally introspective, thoughtful, and inclined toward meaning. Their rhythm is one of transition, of integration, of releasing what no longer serves. They often have an uncanny ability to guide others through change, to hold space for grief, and to see beauty even in decay. They reflect the archetype of the teacher, the healer, the soul who knows that endings are not failures, but sacred thresholds. Their life path may involve many transformations, and in those transformations they find their strength. And then, finally, winter returns. The cycle begins again, but now it is different. We return not to where we started, but to a deeper place. That is the gift of cyclical time. It repeats not in circles, but in spirals. We return again and again, not to the same moment, but to new understanding, new awareness, new awakening. Those born into the final months of the year often carry this spiral within them. They are old souls, yes, but not just because of time. They are old souls because they have been through many internal deaths and rebirths. They have felt the cold and found the fire. Their rhythm is one of depth, of mystery, of silence that sings. They do not seek the spotlight, they seek the truth, and their very presence reminds others that life is not always about doing. It is often about being. When you begin to explore the rhythm of your birth month through this cyclical lens, you stop asking what's wrong with you, and start asking what rhythm you are made to move in. You realize that not all paths are meant to be fast. Not all voices are meant to be loud. Not all flowers bloom in spring. Some seeds must be buried deep and long before they awaken, and that's not weakness. It's timing, divine timing, cosmic timing, the kind of timing that moves mountains slowly, yet never makes a mistake. In a world obsessed with urgency and productivity, we are taught to abandon our natural rhythm. We are told to be always on, always moving, always producing, but the soul does not operate on a factory schedule. The soul, like nature, requires cycles, times of growth, of rest, of flowering and falling. Your birth month offers you a mirror for your soul's natural timing. It shows you when you are most alive, what kind of energy you were born to embody, and what seasons of life may challenge or awaken you. It is not about superstition. It is about synchronicity. It is about recognizing that the universe is not chaotic but beautifully ordered, and that you too were placed in that order with care and meaning. There is something profound in realizing that your birth is part of a larger rhythm. It frees you from the shame of comparison. It frees you from the pressure to keep up with others who walk to a different tempo. Some souls are born to move fast, others slow. Some to shine early, others to bloom late. Each is needed. Each is perfect in its rhythm. To embrace the cyclical nature of time is to give yourself permission to unfold in your own way, in your own time, without apology. The month you are born in does not define you, but it reveals a pattern, a sacred echo of the rhythm you were born into. And when you align with that rhythm, life begins to feel less like a battle and more like a dance. You stop resisting the tides and begin to move with them. You stop fearing the quiet and begin to listen. You stop rushing towards some imagined destination and begin to see the meaning in each turn of the spiral. You are not a mistake. You are not out of place. You are exactly where you are meant to be, born in the exact month your soul chose, not because it was convenient, but because it was aligned. Your birth month is a whisper from the universe, a secret message hidden in time. And when you take the time to understand that message, not just intellectually but intuitively, you step into a deeper relationship with yourself, with life, and with the divine. Time is not linear, it is cyclical. And your birth was not the start of a line. It was the joining of a circle that continues to turn, calling you to remember who you are and to move once more in rhythm with your soul. Each month carries more than weather patterns or holidays. It carries meaning, a sacred stage in the evolution of the human psyche. To live unconsciously is to miss this deeper rhythm, to treat each month as just another page on the calendar. But to live with awareness is to see that the soul moves through seasons not only in the outer world but within. Every month reflects a movement of the psyche, a transformation that corresponds to universal truths about growth, struggle, revelation, and wholeness. Each month is a mirror that reveals where you are on your journey, not just in age or circumstance, but in the development of your inner world. There is a divine architecture to time, and each month reveals a stage along that spiral path from initiation to integration. In the earliest months, the psyche is called to awaken. This is the space of initiation, the place where the soul begins its movement into form. Those who resonate with these months, or who are born in them, often carry this theme throughout their lives. There is a sense of newness in them, an ability to see the world with fresh eyes, but also a vulnerability that comes from being at the edge of the unknown. In this phase, the self has not yet fully formed, but it is responding to the call of life. There is a raw courage here, a readiness to step into the world, to confront the blankness of what has not yet been written. This early phase is where the seeds of the self are planted, where dreams begin to stir, and where the unconscious begins to push upward into awareness. It is filled with both hope and uncertainty, as every birth must be. Soon after comes the stirring of power, the realization that one can shape the world. The psyche begins to test its boundaries, to stretch toward individuality. This stage is marked by fire, will, and the desire to make a mark. It is the energy of the warrior, of the builder, of the youthful ego discovering its capacity to act. There is often conflict here, not only with the outer world, but within. The self begins to differentiate, to seek identity, to declare I am. This is where the hero's journey truly begins, and like every hero, the psyche must face the trials of becoming. There is tension between the inner world and outer expectations, between what the soul knows and what the world demands. But this tension is sacred. It shapes the self, tempers the will, and clarifies desire. It is a time of emergence, and though it may feel chaotic, it is necessary for the formation of true strength. As the months move on, the psyche begins to encounter the other. No longer focused solely on the self, it begins to reach outward, to form bonds, to understand relationship, to experience the mirror of another. This is the stage of reflection, where the self is no longer isolated, but part of a greater whole. It is where the heart opens. The psyche learns compassion not only for others but for itself. Wounds may surface here, particularly those related to belonging, intimacy, and vulnerability. The soul is asked to trust, to soften, to share what was once hidden. This can be terrifying. The ego, forged in earlier months, may resist this surrender. But this surrender is vital, for it leads to integration, not only with others, but with forgotten aspects of the self. These months teach the psyche that it is not alone, that its story is woven with others, that to be seen is to be healed. And then comes the great turning, the moment when the psyche begins to turn inward. This is the descent, the sacred journey into shadow. It is often mistaken for regression or depression, but it is neither. It is the invitation to depth, the call to examine what has been buried. The outer world may grow darker during these months, but this is not punishment. It is preparation. The soul, now stronger and more whole, is ready to face what once seemed unbearable. Old pain rises, forgotten dreams return, masks begin to fall. This phase is not easy. It requires honesty, courage, and a willingness to lose what is false in order to find what is real. But within this descent is the seed of transformation. The psyche begins to shed layers of conditioning, and what emerges is not a new self, but the true self, long hidden beneath the noise. In this darkness, something sacred begins to form. The soul, no longer distracted by outer appearances, begins to listen more deeply. It begins to see the divine not only in light, but in shadow. This stage is alchemical. It takes what was broken and reveals its beauty. It shows the gold in the wound, the gift in the suffering. Here, the psyche touches mystery. It may not have answers, but it no longer needs them. Faith begins to replace certainty. Wisdom replaces information. The inner life becomes rich, full of symbols, dreams, and intuitive knowing. The self becomes less rigid, more fluid. There is a sense of coming home, not to perfection, but to presence. This is the moment when the ego stops striving to become and starts allowing itself to be. Then comes the stage of renewal. After the darkness, light begins to return, but this is not the light of naivety, it is the light of experience. The soul has been tempered by fire and softened by water. It has faced its shadow and found that it could survive. Now it is ready to begin again, but not as before. There is a maturity here, a gentleness. The psyche is reborn, but with the memory of what it has endured. It carries wisdom now, not as knowledge but as being. These months are filled with a quiet power. There is clarity. The false has fallen away. What remains is true. This stage brings a deep peace, not because life is easier, but because the soul is aligned. The rhythm of the self matches the rhythm of the divine. The psyche no longer fights the cycle, it dances with it. This is where integration begins. The lessons of each previous month, each previous stage, are brought together into a coherent whole. The psyche no longer sees life in fragments but in patterns. It understands that joy and sorrow, gain and loss, light and shadow are not opposites. They are complements. Each one reveals the other. There is no longer a desire to escape certain parts of life or of the self. Instead, there is acceptance, and with it, freedom. The integrated self is not perfect, but it is whole. It knows how to return to the center, no matter the season. It has touched all 12 months, all stages of the journey, and emerged not as someone new, but as someone real. And still, the cycle continues. The journey is not linear. It does not end. Each year, each month, the psyche revisits these stages, not as repetition, but as evolution. What was once understood intellectually is now lived intuitively. The soul deepens with every turn. The same struggles may appear, but they are met with greater compassion. The same questions may arise, but they are held with greater spaciousness. This is the gift of cyclical time. It allows the psyche to spiral upward, ever deeper into itself, ever closer to the divine. With each turn of the year, the self is reinitiated, reawakened, reintegrated. The months do not merely pass us by. They move through us. They shape our inner world as surely as they shape the outer one. To recognize each month as a stage in the psyche's journey is to remember that life is not something that happens to us. It is something that unfolds within us. The soul has seasons, the heart has weather, the mind has tides, and the body too knows this rhythm. To align with it is to find peace. To resist it is to suffer. But even in resistance, we are being shaped. Even in suffering, we are being initiated. The journey never ends, but with each cycle, it becomes more sacred. Your birth month, then, is more than a date, it is a gateway. It tells you something about where your soul entered the journey and what rhythm it may carry through life. But the journey itself is universal. Each of us must move through all 12 stages, all 12 energies, again and again. And with each passage, we become more ourselves, not in the image the world has made for us, but in the image our soul has always held. This is the journey from initiation to integration. It is the path of the psyche, the unfolding of the true self, and it is written not in books or theories, but in the rhythm of time itself. You do not need to force it. You only need to trust it. Let the months speak to you, let them guide you, and as they do, you will remember that you are not outside the cycle. You are the cycle, you are the journey, you are the mystery unfolding. The unconscious is not a realm of chaos or randomness. It is a vast, intelligent, and deeply structured reality that speaks in a language far older than words. It does not use facts, instructions, or linear explanations to communicate. Instead, it speaks in symbols. Symbols are the carriers of profound meaning, containers of psychic truth, and vessels that hold mysteries the conscious mind cannot fully grasp. They emerge in dreams, fantasies, myths, synchronicities, and the subtle moments of life that seem to resonate far beyond the surface. The month of one's birth is one of these powerful symbols. Though often treated as a practical detail for legal forms and birthday celebrations, it carries archetypal weight, a kind of mythic resonance that, when examined deeply, can reveal the encoded message the unconscious holds about your life, your path, and your soul's purpose. Symbols bypass rational filters. They move directly into the emotional, spiritual, and imaginal dimensions of the psyche. They stir something ancient within us, a memory that is not intellectual but cellular, soul-based. The month in which you were born is not merely a calendar reference. It is a portal. It is a psychic clue placed in time. It reflects the state of the world, nature, and the collective psyche at the moment you entered this earthly experience. It carries with it an energy signature, a kind of seasonal archetype, that resonates within your deeper being whether or not you are consciously aware of it. In the symbolic language of the unconscious, everything has meaning. Winter is not simply cold weather. It is an expression of death, silence, and inner gestation. Spring is not merely about flowers blooming. It is the symbol of rebirth, emergence, and possibility. Summer is the symbol of fullness, radiance, and outward expression, while autumn carries the energy of decline, wisdom, and letting go. The month of your birth carries with it these broader seasonal metaphors, but it also speaks more specifically. Each month possesses unique qualities, a certain nuance of energy, a particular spiritual and psychological vibration. These energies are not invented by human minds. They are discovered in the rhythms of the cosmos, in the patterns of myth, and in the depths of our collective unconscious. To understand the symbolic meaning of your birth month is not to reduce your identity to astrology or superstition. It is to begin a dialogue with your own depths. The unconscious is constantly trying to bring the individual into wholeness, but it cannot do so through rational instruction alone. It must use symbols to bypass the ego's defenses. It must offer signs, metaphors, patterns that pull you inward and awaken remembrance. Your birth month is one of these signs. It is something given to you at the very beginning of your life, something that belongs only to you yet connects you to the collective human experience. It is your personal symbol and also a universal one. To decode the meaning of your birth month is to enter into an archetypal conversation. You begin to ask, what was the world doing when I was born? What season held me? What light or darkness surrounded me? What myths align with this time? What natural processes mirrored my entrance into life? The unconscious holds answers to these questions, not in facts, but in images. And as you explore these images, you begin to recognize patterns in your life that are not random but deeply symbolic. You see that you have been living out a story, one shaped in part by the energy you were born into. For those born in times of darkness, for example, deep winter, long nights, and cold silence, the unconscious may be encoded with themes of solitude, introspection, endurance, and mysticism. These individuals may find themselves naturally drawn to inner work, to seeking meaning beneath the surface, to listening more than speaking. They may also struggle with isolation or feel invisible in a noisy world. But these experiences are not defects, they are initiations into the symbolic energy of their time. The unconscious does not judge these traits. It honors them. It sees them as essential aspects of the whole. Similarly, someone born into the height of summer may carry the unconscious symbol of illumination, expansion, and celebration. These individuals may feel called to lead, to express, to shine outwardly. But they may also struggle with pressure to always be on, to perform, to remain in the light even when they long for rest. Again, the unconscious uses this tension symbolically. It invites the individual to learn balance, to explore the interplay of light and shadow, and to understand that even the sun must eventually set. The birth month becomes a symbolic blueprint, a story waiting to be realized and refined over a lifetime. The process of decoding this symbol is not linear or academic. It is intuitive, contemplative, and deeply personal. It requires openness, humility, and a willingness to see your life not merely as a series of events, but as a sacred narrative. The unconscious speaks not in logic but in poetry. It shows you images, not explanations, and so you must learn to listen differently. To reflect on your birth month is not to assign yourself a category. It is to enter the mythic structure of your life with reverence. You begin to see how the world around you at birth mirrors the world within you throughout life. You notice how certain themes, challenges, and gifts seem to repeat, not randomly but rhythmically. These are the patterns of the unconscious revealing themselves through symbol. Sometimes the symbol of your birth month will appear in dreams. You may see images related to the season or to the natural processes happening at that time. These dreams are not nostalgia, they are messages. The unconscious uses your birth symbol to awaken forgotten truths, to call you back to your essence. If you were born when trees were letting go of their leaves, perhaps your soul's journey involves mastering the art of surrender. If you were born when everything was frozen, maybe your path involves learning how to generate inner warmth. If your birthday falls when blossoms first appear, you may carry the energy of initiation, hope, or vulnerability. These are not just poetic ideas. They are psychic realities held within the symbolic code of your birth. Even the number of your birth month carries symbolic weight. In numerology and ancient traditions, numbers are considered sacred vibrations. The unconscious knows this and often sends messages through numbers. The fact that you were born in the first month, the 7th, or the 12th is not trivial. It is part of the unconscious tapestry. The number itself may reveal something about your inner orientation, your soul's rhythm, or your psychological archetype. This is not something to be analyzed rigidly, but to be reflected upon meditatively. The unconscious never forces meaning, it invites it. The symbol of your birth month is like a puzzle piece waiting to find its place in the larger picture of who you are. It's also important to remember that symbols evolve. The meaning of your birth month may change as you grow. It may deepen, expand, or even reverse in some way. This is because the unconscious is not static. It is a living reality that moves with you. The symbol is not fixed, it is fluid. What mattered to you about your birth month at age 10 may be different at age 40, but the symbol still speaks. It still has something to show you, some new layer to unfold. When you ignore it, you may feel a subtle sense of being lost. When you engage it, you feel something ancient come alive. This is the power of symbol. It roots you in the unseen. Many people unconsciously live out the energies of their birth month without ever naming it. They feel drawn to certain colors, emotions, stories, or rituals without understanding why. They may love the season of their birth with a passion that cannot be explained, or they may resist it with equal intensity. Either way, the symbol is active. The unconscious does not need your permission to work, but it will always welcome your attention. And the more conscious you become of the symbol, the more empowered you are to live it with intention rather than compulsion. When you begin to honor your birth month as a symbol, you also begin to honor yourself as symbolic. You see that your life is not just a sequence of events, but a tapestry of meanings. Every joy, every sorrow, every choice and challenge is part of a greater design. The symbol of your birth month is not the only key, but it is one of the first. It holds the resonance of your beginning, and beginnings matter. They shape the tone of everything that follows. The unconscious placed that symbol there for a reason, not to define you, but to guide you. To decode the symbol of your birth month is to enter the sacred conversation between your conscious mind and your deeper self. It is to treat your life not as a problem to solve, but a mystery to live. The unconscious speaks in this way not to confuse, but to awaken. It knows that the truths that truly transform us are not shouted, they are whispered, they are embedded in symbols, in dreams, in the quiet moments we too often dismiss. Your birth month is one such whisper, a symbol carrying the weight of your entrance into this world, a message from the deepest part of you, waiting to be heard, felt, and remembered. There are events in life that defy logic, moments that shimmer with a mysterious sense of order, as though the universe itself is orchestrating a secret dance behind the curtain of our understanding. These moments are not coincidences in the shallow sense, but rather expressions of a deeper harmony, a meeting point between the inner and outer worlds. This is the essence of synchronicity. A principle that reveals life is not a mechanical accident, but an unfolding drama guided by unseen hands. Your birth, the moment you entered this world, was not random. It was a synchronistic event, placed precisely at the point where your soul's journey and the universe's rhythm aligned. You were born not just into a family, a nation, or a time in history. You were born into meaning. Synchronicity does not obey linear cause and effect. It bypasses the logical mind and speaks directly to the soul. It emerges when internal state, emotions, intentions, longings, are mirrored by external events in such a precise and symbolic way that one cannot help but feel the touch of something greater. To understand your birth through this lens is to see that your arrival was not simply a biological process, but a divine intersection. The time, the season, the family, the environment, and even the conditions surrounding your birth were all part of a greater pattern. An intricate web designed not for comfort or convenience, but for growth. Your soul carries within it a unique blueprint, a seed of potential that longs to unfold. But growth requires friction, timing, and context. The universe, through synchronicity, ensures that you are placed in the very circumstances that will call forth your deepest becoming. This may not always look like ease. In fact, it often appears as challenge, struggle, or contrast, but these are not signs of misalignment. They are the soul's teachers, shaping you into who you are meant to become. Your birth, therefore, was not merely a beginning. It was the first movement in a symphony composed to awaken your inner transformation. The time of your birth is especially significant. Not just the year, but the very month and season into which you were born hold energetic and symbolic meaning. They contain the atmosphere in which your psyche would begin to unfold. A person born in the heart of winter arrives in a world that is still, cold, and inward. Symbolically, this reflects the themes of introspection, silence, and spiritual depth. Such individuals may carry a certain gravitas, a contemplative nature, or a soul inclined toward inner work. These qualities are not formed by the weather, but are echoed by it. The synchronicity lies in the resonance between the outer season and the inner soul. Those born in the spring emerge into a world of beginnings. Buds bloom, the earth awakens, and light returns. The air is charged with possibility. A spring birth often symbolizes a soul that is meant to initiate, to bring forth new ideas, or to embody renewal. This doesn't guarantee a smooth path, but it does suggest that the soul's journey will revolve around emergence, breaking through old layers to bring something fresh into the world. The synchronicity of a spring birth is not just poetic, it is energetic. It places the soul in alignment with the archetype of birth, not only biologically but spiritually. A summer birth carries its own synchronicity. The world is alive, radiant, and in full expression. The sun dominates the sky, fruits ripen, and nature celebrates itself. A soul arriving in this time may be drawn toward visibility, leadership, or creative expression. Their path may be about learning how to shine authentically, how to embody joy without arrogance, how to carry light without burning out. The synchronicity of a summer birth aligns the soul with themes of abundance, fulfillment, and the challenges of radiance. It may also place them in circumstances where they must learn to balance their brightness with humility and rest. Autumn births occur as the world begins to turn inward again. Leaves fall, the air cools, and the harvest is gathered. This is a time of reflection, maturity, and letting go. A soul born in autumn may have a natural relationship with change and transition. Their life path may involve releasing what no longer serves, guiding others through transformation, or learning to find beauty in impermanence. The synchronicity of this timing supports the development of wisdom, grace, and inner richness. It prepares the soul for the deeper stages of growth where integration, not ambition, becomes the goal. None of this is dictated by astrology or any rigid system. Rather, it is the unfolding of symbolic resonance. Synchronicity works through symbols, through patterns, through subtle echoes that speak not to the mind, but to the soul. Your birth is one of those echoes. Its timing, its atmosphere, and its emotional tone are all clues placed by the universe to support your growth. It is as though your soul whispered, "Place me here in this exact moment, because it holds what I need to become who I truly am." And so you were placed. This placement extends beyond the time of year. It includes the family into which you were born, the cultural conditions of the time, and the psychological environment you would absorb from your earliest moments. Each of these factors is part of the synchronistic design. The people around you at birth were not accidental either. They too were placed, each one a mirror, a catalyst, a teacher. Some would awaken love, others would awaken wounds, but all of them would serve your soul's evolution. The synchronicity of birth orchestrates not just the when, but also the where and the who, all aligned with your path of growth. It may be tempting to believe that such synchronicity only happens in beautiful, idealized conditions. But this is not true. Many are born into difficult, even painful, circumstances. The synchronicity in these cases is not about ease, it is about awakening. A soul born into hardship may carry a specific strength or purpose that requires early friction to emerge. These souls are often initiates, carriers of deep wisdom, compassion, or transformative power. The synchronicity of their birth lies in their capacity to transmute suffering into service. What looks like misfortune on the surface often holds the seed of profound spiritual development. This does not justify suffering, but it does recognize its potential. The soul does not seek comfort, it seeks truth, and synchronicity ensures that truth will find it. When you begin to reflect on your own birth as a synchronistic event, something shifts. You begin to see your life not as a series of disconnected events, but as a cohesive, meaningful journey. You realize that nothing was wasted. Every joy, every sorrow, every detour has served your growth. Even the timing of your birth, down to the hour, the day, the month, was chosen in alignment with the person you were meant to become. This realization does not impose fate. It awakens faith, faith in the intelligence of life, faith in the deeper purpose behind the surface of things. To live with this awareness is to walk differently through the world. You begin to trust your experiences, even when they do not make sense. You begin to look for the hidden patterns, the subtle nudges, the signs that life is still guiding you. You understand that synchronicity did not stop at your birth. It continues every day, drawing you closer to your authentic self. But it all begins with that first synchronistic act, your arrival. You are not here by mistake. The time of your birth was not a fluke. It was an act of cosmic alignment, a moment where the universe said now. And in that now, your soul stepped forward, not as a blank slate, but as a traveler with a map encoded in stars, symbols, and seasons. Synchronicity opened the door, and you walked through it. Everything since has been a conversation between your soul and the universe, each responding to the other in a sacred dance of growth. Understanding your birth through the lens of synchronicity invites you into a deeper relationship with your life. It encourages you to ask not just what happened, but what is this teaching me? It invites you to decode the symbolic layers of your birth, the timing, the environment, the relationships, and to see them not as fixed truths, but as evolving messages. Your soul chose a moment in time to enter this world. That moment held everything you needed to begin the journey. The rest is unfolding now in every breath, every choice, and every synchronicity that continues to echo the purpose placed in you from the very beginning. To understand your birth month is to awaken to a deeper level of consciousness that has always been present but rarely explored. Beneath the surface of what seems like a simple calendar fact lies a symbolic truth encoded in your very being. You did not arrive randomly. You were born at a time when the energies of the cosmos, the cycles of the earth, and the rhythms of the soul converged. The month of your birth is not just a marker of time. It is a symbol, a sacred signpost pointing toward your psychological essence. And in the process of decoding this sign, one begins to touch something sacred and transformative. The recovery of lost aspects of the self and the healing of psychic fragmentation that afflicts so many in the modern world. When the psyche is whole, it flows like a river, alive, intuitive, and in harmony with its inner purpose. But fragmentation occurs when we lose connection with parts of ourselves, especially the unconscious ones. The soul becomes scattered across forgotten memories, disowned traits, and unrealized potentials. Life begins to feel disjointed, and we often feel like strangers to our own journey. Yet there are clues, scattered like sacred breadcrumbs, that can guide us back to center. Your birth month is one of these clues, an invitation to return to the wholeness you were born with. Every month carries a particular archetypal energy. These energies reflect both the movement of the natural world and the inner states of the human psyche. To be born in a given month is to inherit that month's symbolic atmosphere as the psychic soil in which your identity would first take root. It is not that the month causes your personality, but that it reflects and reinforces certain qualities your soul was already inclined to explore. When you reconnect with the symbolism of your birth month, you begin to recall those original conditions and energies that shaped the early formation of your inner world. And within that recollection, healing begins. For example, imagine someone born in December, a month of darkness and stillness in many parts of the world. This individual may carry a profound connection to themes of inner light, solitude, mystery, or the death and rebirth of cycles. But if they live in a society that values extroversion, speed, and constant production, they may learn to repress these qualities. They might feel out of sync with the world, unsure why they prefer reflection over stimulation or depth over surface-level engagement. In trying to adapt to the collective norms, they fracture from their authentic nature. But when they consciously revisit the symbolism of their birth month, something stirs. They begin to remember the sacredness of their inner winter. They see that stillness is not weakness but wisdom, that the darkness they carry is not a burden but a blessing. This remembrance allows the lost part of themselves to reintegrate into consciousness. The same can be said for every other month. Each one holds distinct lessons, energies, and initiations. To be born in April, for instance, is to enter the world during a time of beginnings, renewal, and awakening. The soul may have chosen to explore themes of rebirth and emergence. But if life has been full of trauma or suppression, that emerging spirit may have been silenced. The person may feel stuck, unsure how to move forward, disconnected from their original fire. By meditating on their birth month, they reconnect with the spirit of newness and possibility. They see that their natural urge to break through the soil of life like a spring flower is not childish, it is divine. That realization rekindles their dormant flame and heals the fracture between who they are and who they were taught to be. This process is not about assigning superficial traits based on the calendar. It is about engaging in sacred reflection and symbolic listening. The birth month serves as a mirror, reflecting both our gifts and our wounds. It shows us where we began and what was asked of us, but it also reveals what we may have abandoned or hidden in the process of growing up. And it is often those hidden pieces, those disowned emotions, instincts, and potentials, that carry the keys to our wholeness. When we lose touch with the energy of our birth month, we lose touch with the original atmosphere of our psyche. We may live lives that are functional but flat, efficient but uninspired. We chase achievements but feel hollow inside. The symptoms of psychic fragmentation appear as anxiety, depression, restlessness, or a haunting sense that something essential is missing. But when we honor our symbolic birthright, when we turn back toward the archetype that welcomed us into the world, we begin to reclaim ourselves. This is not a passive process. It requires inner work, contemplation, and a willingness to face what we have forgotten. One must ask, what does my birth month symbolize? What qualities did it gift me, and how have I honored or betrayed them? What did the world feel like when I arrived, and how did that atmosphere shape me? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. In asking them, we open doors in the psyche that have long been closed. As we explore these symbols, we often find that they align with our deepest yearnings. Someone born in July may discover a profound longing for emotional connection, for warmth and belonging, which mirrors the nurturing energy of midsummer. Someone born in October might feel drawn toward justice, balance, and the beauty found in the tension of opposites, reflecting the equilibrium of autumn. Recognizing these inclinations not only validates them, but gives us permission to live from them. And in doing so, we stitch together the torn threads of our inner world. Reconnecting with the essence of your birth month can also restore a sense of timing and rhythm to your life. Fragmentation often results from disconnection from natural cycles, from our own cycles and from the world around us. We become entrapped in artificial schedules, overrun by deadlines and digital noise. But your birth month can serve as an anchor, a personal season to which your soul is attuned. By tuning into its energy, you begin to move through life in a way that feels more organic, more authentic. You find yourself less anxious and more aligned, not because your external world has changed, but because your internal compass has realigned with its true north. Moreover, this understanding can serve as a doorway into the collective unconscious. Your birth month does not belong only to you. It belongs to a web of others who share it. There is a shared field of archetypal resonance that links people born under the same seasonal and symbolic conditions. By exploring these commonalities, you begin to see that you are not alone in your journey. Your struggles and gifts are part of a greater pattern. This realization can be deeply healing, as it transforms isolation into belonging. It affirms that you are not a broken anomaly, but a meaningful expression of something much larger. Healing psychic fragmentation also means integrating opposites within the self. Often, the disowned parts of our psyche live in the shadows, rejected because they did not conform to parental or societal expectations. But the energy of our birth month can help us locate and love these parts again. It can guide us to reclaim what was lost. Someone born in a month associated with fire may need to embrace their anger, passion, or courage. Another born in a month of water may need to reconnect with vulnerability, empathy, or intuition. As these energies are welcomed back into consciousness, the inner war begins to subside. The psyche becomes a home, not a battlefield. This journey is sacred. It is not about changing who you are, but about remembering who you've always been beneath the layers of adaptation and fear. The moment of your birth was encoded with purpose. Your month is part of that encoding, a symbol sent from the soul to the self across the bridge of time. To ignore it is to ignore a part of your origin story. But to explore it is to step into a larger, more integrated version of yourself. One that is not fragmented but whole, not lost but rooted, not broken but becoming. In remembering the meaning of your birth month, you do not just awaken qualities, you awaken consciousness itself. You bring light into the forgotten corners of your being. You stop living in pieces and start living in presence. You cease searching for yourself in all the wrong places and begin to find yourself in the sacred timing of your own existence. That is the power of symbolic understanding. That is the medicine of remembering, and in that remembering, something holy unfolds, your return to the fullness of who you were always meant to be. To embrace the meaning of your birth is to reclaim your spiritual inheritance. This is not merely a poetic statement. It is a call to awaken to the profound mystery that gave rise to your existence. You were not born at random. Your arrival into this world through a particular month on a specific day at a unique hour was no accident. That moment of your birth was your soul's signature etched into time. To understand its meaning is to remember something sacred, something that existed before you had language, before you had thoughts, before the world began to mold you into its preferred shapes. To embrace that origin is to touch the divine core of your being. Every human being is born with a purpose, but purpose is not something you find out there. It is something that unfolds from within, like a seed that already contains the full tree within it. The problem is not that people are born without purpose. The problem is that they forget to look inward. They are taught to seek validation, meaning, and identity from the outside, while ignoring the sacred imprint they came with. That sacred imprint, your spiritual inheritance, contains the truths of your essence, and one of the clearest clues to rediscovering it lies in the symbolic understanding of your birth. The month in which you were born carries archetypal energies. These are not just cultural or seasonal metaphors. They are reflections of the deeper rhythms of the cosmos and psyche. Each month resonates with a particular spiritual vibration, a kind of mythic undertone. To be born in a certain month is to carry that tone in your soul's frequency. This is why when you begin to explore the symbolic and spiritual themes of your birth month, you do not simply gather information, you begin to remember. You awaken to something that already lives inside you but has long been dormant. In that awakening, you reclaim something that was always yours, your sacred path. To reclaim your spiritual inheritance is not to receive something new. It is to return to what was never lost, only forgotten. So many people feel a vague longing in life, a nameless hunger they try to satisfy through success, possessions, or relationships. But no matter what they achieve, something still feels missing. That missing piece is not external. It is the memory of their sacred origin. It is the buried knowing that their life has meaning, that their existence is not a coincidence but a message. When you begin to reflect on the meaning of your birth, you initiate a conversation with your soul. You begin to ask, why did I come here at this time? What qualities did I bring into this world? What was I born to remember, to heal, to embody? These are not intellectual questions. They are soul questions, and the answers arise not through thinking but through deep listening. Your birth month becomes a mirror, not of what society expects of you, but of who you truly are beneath the masks. It reflects your natural gifts, your archetypal challenges, and your soul's orientation in this life. Reclaiming your spiritual inheritance also means acknowledging that you are part of something larger. You did not just enter time. You entered a cosmos. You arrived through a doorway aligned with celestial rhythms. The stars, the moon, the seasons, all were positioned in a unique configuration when you took your first breath. That configuration is not random. It is a signature of your essence. It is the imprint of the divine in the form of time. To embrace that moment is to understand that your life is not separate from the whole, but a thread woven into the great tapestry of existence. This understanding changes everything. It transforms your view of yourself, of your past, of your potential. You begin to realize that your sensitivities, your longings, even your wounds are not mistakes. They are part of your spiritual curriculum. You stop trying to become someone else and begin the sacred task of becoming who you already are. You start to live from the inside out rather than the outside in. You move from conformity to authenticity, from imitation to revelation. But this reclamation is not without resistance. The world will always try to shape you into something digestible, predictable, and safe. It will tell you that your birth is just biology, your identity just social construction, your value just productivity. It will lure you into forgetting, and forgetting is the true danger. Not death, not failure, but the loss of your inner connection. When you forget the meaning of your birth, you forget that your life matters. You begin to drift, to chase illusions, to live someone else's dream. To resist that forgetting is to practice remembrance. And remembrance is a sacred act. It is the daily decision to live in alignment with your essence, to make choices that honor your soul's tone. It means that you do not ignore the whispers of your intuition, the stirrings of your heart, the symbols that appear in your dreams. It means that you learn to walk through the world as a sacred being, not above others, but deeply rooted in the awareness that life is holy, and that your life is no exception. As you reclaim your spiritual inheritance, you also begin to heal the intergenerational wounds that you were born into. Many of us carry ancestral burdens, traumas, fears, patterns that do not begin with us but live within us. Your birth is part of a lineage. To embrace its meaning is to understand what you came to carry forward and what you came to lay down. The moment you begin to honor your sacred origins, you begin to transform not only your life, but the lives of those who came before and those who will come after. You become a healing presence in the chain of generations. This is not a grand or egoic mission. It is quiet inner work. It is the decision to live in integrity with your soul, to speak when your heart speaks, to be still when silence is needed, to create not for applause, but because your soul was born to create. To love not for validation, but because love is the essence of your nature. All of this begins with one step, remembering the sacredness of your birth. There is something profoundly spiritual about realizing that your life was meant to be. You are not a statistic. You are not a product of chance. You are a soul that chose to enter this world at a specific moment, through a specific gateway. That gateway, your birth month, was a cosmic invitation. And it still holds power. It still sings the song you were born to sing. When you listen to that song, when you begin to move to its rhythm, you come back to yourself. You stop surviving and start living. You stop pretending and start becoming. The work of embracing your birth is not theoretical. It is embodied. It shows up in how you live, how you love, how you forgive, and how you dream. It shows up in your courage to be different, to honor your intuition, to follow the path that others cannot see. That path is lit by the light of your spiritual inheritance, and when you walk it, you become a beacon, not because you try to shine, but because you have become aligned. Your spiritual inheritance is not about privilege, it is about responsibility. You were given something sacred, your life, your gifts, your presence. To waste it in comparison, fear, or numbness is to dishonor that gift. But to live it fully, to embody your truth, to create beauty out of your existence, that is the offering you give back to the source that gave you life. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to be present. Present to the reality that your birth meant something, that it still means something, that within you lies the wisdom of your ancestors, the fire of your calling, the grace of your soul's journey. And all of it becomes available when you remember that your life began with meaning, and that meaning has never left you. In the end, to embrace the meaning of your birth is to come home to yourself. It is to stop wandering in search of a purpose already etched into your being. It is to accept the sacred task of being who you are no more, no less. And when you do that, you not only heal yourself, you heal the world. For the world is waiting for you to remember what you have forgotten, that your very being is a gift, that your presence is medicine, that your birth was a promise, and that promise still lives in you. The meaning of your birth is not a mystery meant to remain hidden. It is a truth waiting for your recognition. You did not arrive here by mistake. You were summoned into existence by a cosmic intelligence that knew exactly when and where your soul would be most needed. To understand the deeper meaning of your birth month is to awaken a part of yourself that has been silently waiting to be seen, honored, and lived. It is to reclaim your rightful place in the great design of existence. Your birth is not simply a date on a calendar. It is a divine signature, a spiritual map, a sacred inheritance. And when you choose to embrace it, you activate the power within you to live fully, love deeply, and walk in alignment with your highest truth. Stop waiting for permission. Stop searching for yourself in others. The path has always been yours, and the key has always been within. Remember